Good afternoon, everyone. Today it's January 8th, 2019. It's the CRA meeting. I want to thank everyone for being here. And I hope that you had a wonderful holiday. And I want to wish you an happy New Year. And I hope the city of North Miami get to enjoy 2019, and let's make 2019 better than 2018. I'm Philippe Bien-Aimé. I'm the Vice Mayor for the city of North Miami, which is I'm the Vice Chair for the CRA, and tonight I'm acting as the Chair since the Mayor is not available. Mr. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Chair Bien-Aimé.
Here.
Second, board members, Board Member Galvin.
Here.
Board Member Keys.
Here.
Board Member DeZume.
Here.
And Chair Smith, not present.
Is he not gonna be here?
Vice Chair, we have a quorum to proceed.
Now we're gonna have a pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item, can I hear a motion on the minute from December 11, 2018?
So move. Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member DeZume to approve the approval of the minutes from November 13, 2018. That motion was seconded by Chair Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote.
Agenda item number 2.
Agenda item number, I'm assuming number 1, right, Mayor? I mean, Chair. Okay, agenda item number 1, resolution to approve.
Update, yeah.
Yeah,
Item
update
number 1.
grant guidelines, a resolution of the chairman and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving and adopting the updated commercial grants guidelines and providing an effective date.
Do you have a presentation?
I'm trying to get that.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Rasha Camos, CRA Director. Before you is a request to update our grant guidelines, which was previously updated in June 2017. As you all have been aware, based on the numerous requests that we have gotten throughout the last couple of years, we felt that it was more appropriate for us to update our guidelines to make it more business-friendly and to allow a little bit more flexibility when we do get special requests and to avoid several waivers in the process. I'm going to walk you through the changes that we're proposing. Some of the changes are more are editorial from our attorney, and you'll see them throughout. For instance, he wanted to change the word lessee to tenant, so those are not the substantive changes. I'm not going to touch on those. I am going to only touch on the substantive changes that we're proposing. On page 3,
Of the memo or
of the grant guidelines.
of the
So if you
grant
go on the grant
guidelines.
guidelines
So
on
that's the
page
memo.
3, you will see in red the automatic disqualifications, and I had briefly touched on it before. Our grant guidelines before, and when we started in 2004, we always disqualified religious institutions for grant applications. Now, due to best practices, and we've seen in other CRAs, that if the religious institution owns a property and is willing to change its use, either for a community center or some type of business or a daycare, as long as it's not supporting a religious, the religious advancement of their religion, then they should be allowed to
Or
apply
a
for a
part
grant.
of the building?
Yes.
Okay.
So if they, Overtown CRA, I use that as an example, they convert it into a cultural center. So the church
No,
owns.
what I'm trying to tell you, let's see, they have a church and they have a school. They're still on the church, but they want a grant for the school.
They can do the school,
Yeah,
but what I'm
okay.
saying is if they decide not to use the church anymore and they want to use that church as a rental
No, I
hall.
understand that, but
So-
he apply also.
Yes,
okay.
yes. as long as it's not for advancing of the religious, okay?
Got
So
it.
that is one,
Rush, excuse, just to add, advancing or inhibiting
or inhibiting, yes.
the practice of religion.
Thank you. On page 3, under eligible uses, we've always allowed for roof repairs. Now, based on the building code, it's been our experience that the building code, if you do anything more than 25% of a repair, you have to replace the roof completely. Our guidelines only said roof repairs, which is pretty much just a touch-up of the roof. There are businesses where once the inspector shows up, they see it's more than 25%. And under the building code, that would be a full replacement. So we're asking to amend the guidelines to allow for replacement, not new roof, not new addition, not
So
new
just
construction.
specifically the repair.
The repair, but like I said, because of the building code,
I see.
anything above 25%. So if somebody comes with a 50% of roof repairs,
You gotta do the whole
it'll be
roof.
considered a replacement and we would have to disqualify them. So
Okay.
based on that, we're asking for you to consider the roof replacements as one of the approved.
So the roof replacement would be because I'm a little confused, to remove, to fix the entire roof or
Yes,
to,
to
or
fix
the
the entire
portion-
roof.
but what if the person does not need the entire roof to be fixed?
Well, it's based on what the building code says. Like I
Okay.
said, when the building inspector shows up for your permit,
Mm-hmm.
they will say, actually, it's not a repair. You need to pull a permit for full replacement. Anything above 25% of the repair, they're gonna ask for it.
It's like
Okay.
the same thing as the home repair,
Yes.
the odd house.
Yes.
Oh, so
urban.
So,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
so like I said, instead of just doing the soffits and basic, a few of it, once the building official says, no, this is not, or just a repair, you're gonna have to replace the roof, we wanna make it allowable for them to apply for it as a business.
Okay.
Under beautification grants, on page 4, we would like to allow for murals
Thank you.
with a 5-year maintenance period. That means if you are in the areas that are approved by the city's LDR for public art, a property owner can apply under the beautification grant for a mural. They still have to follow the city guidelines, they have to pull a permit, they have to be approved by the Arts and Public Places Committee. What we ask is that it has to have a 5-year maintenance. That means the mural has to stay up for 5 years if they're applying for it.
And we have specific places where they can put these murals?
Yes, specifically along the downtown corridor, West Dixie, where the Arts and Culture District is, and by the
Northwest
train
7th.
tracks. Those are the areas that are approved in
You
your
said Northwest
LDR.
7th, the LDR.
No,
that-
not on Northwest 7th.
No, but north of that, I know that was part of it. We never got that in,
Not that
incorporated?
I know of.
okay,
Whatever's in the city's zoning LDR code is what we're asking for.
okay.
Under business attraction and rehabilitation grant, and under the regular rehabilitation grant, and this is a little bit more lengthy, so I'm gonna have to read it on the record. So the CRA, at its sole discretion, may consider increasing the funding limits on a case-by-case basis. If the request is above the standard amount mentioned above, applicant must abide by the following. Number 1, job creation and retention of City of North Miami residents will be required. Number 2, community benefits to include mentoring, internship, workshops for existing and new entrepreneurs within the City of North Miami. Number 3, all entities or contractors contracting with or receiving grants from the agency for new commercial and residential developments to be constructed within the redevelopment area in an amount of $200,000 or more, or such other amount as may be established by this board, shall enter into a community benefits agreement with the agency, which will benefit primarily the residents of the redevelopment area. Number 4, to the extent allowed by law, a community benefits agreement shall include provisions for hiring the labor workforce for the project financed by the grant or agreement from residents of the redevelopment area that are unemployed or underemployed. Depending on the worker or employee to be hired, the Community Redevelopment Agency will be required to ensure that such entity or contractor complies with wage requirements as applicable, established by Miami-Dade County's living wage or responsible wage ordinances pursuant to Section 2-8.9 and 2-11.16 respectively of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, and or pay higher wages and benefits as are feasible. Number 5, all entities or contractors contracting with or receiving a grant from the Community Redevelopment Agency in an amount of $500,000 or more, or such other amount as may be established by this board shall comply with the following Miami-Dade County ordinances contained in the code as may be amended, as expressly applicable to such entities. Small business enterprises,
Can you elaborate on the county requirement?
I'm,
How you gonna do
let me-
that? Just a few,
just,
for
well,
over
these, the,
500,000?
so the numbers 3, 4, and 5 are actually from our interlocal agreement.
Okay.
That is the requirement when we sign the interlocal agreement, that we needed to make sure that if we do provide any grants. So number 3 is any new development, anything above $200,000, not rehab, but new development, they have to provide jobs. Number 4 and 5 is living wages, but also making sure that they're subcontracting with small businesses, small business owners.
That's 500 and up.
500,000 and up. And that particular, like I said, item 3, 4, and 5 it's in our interlocal
But
that we agreed to abide by.
If you don't mind me, let me ask a quick question. Majority of the items that we received are below 200. So, no?
No,
It's usually one something,
no, well,
yeah, the matching. But a large number that's under 200 from, no?
No, the last few years, it's probably been 50-50 under and above.
Okay.
So.
So
but-
they don't
but
get
what
nothing.
you've been doing is each time,
we've had
you've waived it each time, and then we've added some of these requirements, well, some of them, not all,
Because-
into what we've
I just want to
negotiated.
find out, are there any requirements for under? Or is 200,000 is the threshold?
For the county,
For the
as
county.
far as they're concerned, yes. That's the
Talking about
minimum
like
that they
job
put in.
creation
No,
and,
yeah, not necessarily the job component, but, okay.
But keep in mind, all we're doing with those last 3 are reiterating what we're required to do based on our interlocal with the county. So it's not a requirement that we're self-imposing, it was imposed in our
No,
agreement.
I'm aware of that. That's what I was.
So when a business comes to apply for these categories, they are aware in advance before they come to make the
Okay,
ask, and,
that's fine.
you know, they can be prepared and understand what the risks are and, you know, for them to cover it.
And
Okay.
Rasha, if I could just say too, those aren't just requirements in the North Miami CRA's interlocal, they're in a resolution, a county resolution, so they
Oh.
apply to all
All
CRAs.
CRAs,
So
okay.
it's not, I don't want you to think that we were singled out and
We're
made
just the
subject
first.
to these. We were just the first ones to go through and amend our interlocal, so they will put them in every interlocal that comes before them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to finish the last 3 points, community, small business enterprises, conflict of interest and code of ethics ordinance, and/or living wage ordinance. All right, let me go back to the other item. Under capacity building grants, we are on page 8. We are proposing to focus more on for-profit businesses and not allow nonprofit agencies to apply for capacity building grants, because it's about building a business capacity and for retention. Primary property use must be commercial, must be in the business for at least 1 year. We are proposing, the original capacity building grant we had drafted said you needed to have 5 employees. Based on, I reviewed the county's mom and pop grant.
Yeah.
I'm proposing to delete it, and that's where you see it says delete in caps. I'm proposing to delete the word 5 employees, because you could have a small business that has like 10 part-time employees.
Or you could have one with just one.
Well, no, but it's
If
the
it's somebody-
maximum of 5, that's what we used to
So the
say.
so
So now we're removing the number of job
okay,
requirement,
Got it.
as long as they meet as a small business. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, while you're in this section, you have 2 references. One is they have a lease. Wouldn't it be a good idea to have a lease of a period of time? I mean, they have a 6-month lease, 1 year lease, that's not really an intent. So, through
Which
the
section?
vice chair, there's 2, I think in
This
a
is
couple,
section
in a
4?
couple places, like 2, business attraction and expansion. Applicant must have proof of property ownership and executed lease.
Stephen?
You know, if, well, that's on
It's
the
on page
bottom of
4.
page 4, must have a bona fide lease. And then later on, it's in another paragraph.
So for those, it says on the next page, says tenant must have signed a lease of at least 5 years.
On the next, regarding
Yeah.
that,
Page 5, number 2.
Those are the minimum requirements since
Yes.
day one
True.
for everybody.
okay, and then further down, there's something about a lease. Okay, that's what, And the other thing is, it says they must be in business for 1 year. Do we have a definition of what it means to be in business? I mean, does filing on Sunbiz make you a business?
Yeah.
Or does it make you no?
We
No.
require for you to have
A
your
business
BTR and CU with the city.
So do we have that somewhere defined so people can't say,
But-
well, I've been,
So,
Applicable.
well, I was gonna say to elaborate on it. Operating in the purpose for a year, I mean, you wanna add some language like that?
Because,
operating with a
let's see,
license?
But
let's say I have a business. For some
you've been
reason,
setting up
I
for a
break
year.
the lease. No,
Right?
I break the lease.
Mhm.
I no longer have the business. But for some reason, I renew my BTR every year.
Correct.
Is it applying for?
and
for
it's not
anybody
even
like
a
that?
If you,
BTR in
well,
the
I
city.
can tell you right now, if you broke your lease, if we had a grant with you as it exists right now, you broke your lease and you're out of the physical space, we would be coming after you. We would be recalling that.
In other words, that's a default under
That's
the
a
grant,
default on the
under the
grant.
grant
No, I'm
agreement.
talking about
Are we
people
doing-
applying for a grant. The minimum requirement, you said you need
So-
to be in business for a year in order to get.
So
a
that is
grant.
the staff's responsibility to do its due diligence, we visit the site, we make sure you're actually physically there, and we verify your, BTR, your CU, and things like that. That's the staff's responsibility to ensure that you're actually
But what you said
physically
is not before you get
there.
the
When you're
grant?
applying, we do visit while you're applying.
Okay.
So we verify and check your license,
Okay.
and we have to check for code violations, activities, and also your FEIN number.
that's, if that's not all that you've done in business, then I don't know what else is. I mean,
Well-
unless we wanna be specific and put
And that-
language.
And that was the clarification, well, not, I didn't ask, but you could, I mean, in theory, you could open a business,
Mhm.
you could sign a lease, and not be operating.
Yeah. But,
But you're doing everything, so you're paying, at least you're paying your lease payment, you have a BTR, you're staying compliant with state
state
law,
laws,
but you're not operating. And I think, I mean, is that a?
but let me ask you, let me throw this out there. Let's just say you get all that.
Mhm.
You are in the business of consulting, or you're an attorney, and you haven't seen any client for a year, but you're struggling. So does that mean that, I mean, at what point do we define, I mean, I could be a consultant, but not getting any client?
Well, as part of the grant application, we don't look at financials. It's not
Okay,
based on
that's-
none of these are based on financial need.
Okay.
That's always been an issue that's come up with the board in the past. Whether the business is successful or not, as long as they're in business.
They in business, okay.
But that means they have a license in the city, or a
Correct.
license to, okay.
Okay.
And they meet the other requirements. Either they own the
5
property
years
that they
lease.
have their
We-
business
we just
located
have
at,
people
or
coming
they,
to us and they want grants and all, and they've just, they just organized, and maybe that's all they've done is organized, that's really not having a business, it's just, you got on Sunbiz and paid $150. So I just wanna make it clear that they have to
But-
be working and operating.
And I agree with you, but they could come downstairs and do all of that and not doing nothing, just waiting around. So how do you,
Well, I guess it's up to our staff to
Yeah,
vet them
I
and make
think
sure
that's-
that they're,
site visit.
I'm just bringing it up because it's a little vague.
Definition, operating.
We can add some more language to make it clear.
The
Can I
one I was
continue?
looking at is business retention, so obviously they've been in business in our city and they've had a license. I'm just throughout the document.
Okay.
I think we're okay.
Can I continue? Okay. Number 6, applicant must provide one written estimate for the proposed
Those
work.
are, those are important, change, or I thought you were gonna give
This-
us a
Yeah, these are the
overview of
substantive
those.
changes that
Okay.
we're making. Everything that's in red are all the changes that we're proposing to the grant guidelines. What we're asking for the capacity building is, for instance, every other grant program that we offer requires 3 bids. This is because it's professional services. It is a little bit cumbersome for them to find several consultants or small business vendors and consultants, so we're asking for them to provide one written estimate with the proposed scope from acceptable vendors with all the cost fully itemized, explaining exactly what it is that they need. Number 8, businesses that receive mom and pop county grants for the same or similar services within 18 months cannot apply. So every county district has a different mom and pop service that they offer. So if they've gone to their county district and applied and gotten a grant for $7,500 for the same professional services, and the county has an 18-month hold on their grant, they can't come and apply for the same exact vendor, same exact service for us, because it's kind of like almost double dipping, and it's not really helping the business. So we just want to make sure that it's clear. In no more than one application submitted for the same business owner, just to make sure that we're limiting it to small businesses and allowing other businesses opportunities to
That's for
apply.
the
This
mom
is
and
for
pop.
the, yes, those
Okay.
are those are items that I found on the mom and pop grant that would be very useful and beneficial to us. On page 9, we're requesting to extend the submittal time from 3 to 4 weeks. Right now, what we always tell people, we require you to submit everything within 3 weeks before the first Monday of the month. The volume of grants and grants management make it very impossible for us to properly review grant application and process it and present it to you all. So we're asking for them to submit their applications 4 weeks in advance. It happens
In advance of what? When you
of the
say-
first Monday of the month. So we usually tell them apply it 3 weeks before the first Monday of the month, which is the CRA Advisory Committee meeting. And then if there are any issues after we've checked and so on, then they have to provide us additional backup. What's happened is it'll be the Friday before the
Yeah,
CRA
but-
advisory. So
Yeah,
we're asking
I have
for
a
But
4
it's
question.
up
weeks.
to you to
That's what I
review
was-
But
those
we're putting it in the guidelines, so it's just part of it. I just want you to know what it is that we're
Yeah, but-
asking them.
But administratively, you receive the application, you need time to review it, to make
Yeah.
some phone call, verify on Sunbees, all those things that take time. But people cannot expect you to put it on the agenda after 2-3 days. I don't
So
think you have to
let me
put that
ask you this.
on the
Yes.
guidelines in order to.
Madam Director,
that.
because that was my question. Are people expecting, once they submitted their application, that it should be in front of the committee and then the council?
Yes.
There
So there's
there
not some,
there have been a number of situations, even one that has risen to litigation, where people, they expect us to turn things around in a split second, or they feel that they have the absolute right to the grant itself, as opposed to
what do you
going
mean they
through the
have the
pro-
right?
they feel like they have, if they submit it, they should get it, as opposed to it going through its,
Process
its
review.
process. So
Oh,
this
okay.
just gives us, a minimum time,
Wiggle room.
a minimum time frame.
But
We
do-
could take longer if we need to, if something comes up to review.
But do you have on the guideline where it says that the administration review the applications and you can recommend approval or not?
It is in there, in the application, in the guidelines. However, most applicants don't follow every single part of the guidelines. So, and, those are little things that I don't want them coming back and saying, well, you didn't have it specifically written. So I just want to make sure it's clear for everyone. And, when they're looking at it, they're
But the only
reviewing
thing
it.
you put is a timetable. I'm talking about as far as someone submit an application and you feel like that business is going nowhere. You still recommend that he come before us?
No, we wouldn't recommend it
recommend it.
that at all.
If the business owner asks you what who's
Traditionally, they
authorized
would
you
take
to.
it up to the
Oh, okay.
manager, and
Okay.
yes, they've
Okay.
gone above my
Okay.
pay grade.
No, I'm
and
talking about
taking it
both.
higher.
I'm
Yes.
talking about
This is
yeah.
before it gets to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
Yes.
talking
we would
about.
vet it, and I'm trying to think, I don't think we've had an
But that one-
instance, just that one that we're dealing with,
Okay.
where they actually felt like
Their rights
their
were.
right was being impugned, if you will, for us to say no.
Okay.
Lastly, under business categories for priorities, we would like to add breweries, specialty donut shops, kitchen or restaurant halls and incubators, recording production studios for film and music industry, and that is on page 21. And that is my presentation for the
Wait,
updating the grant guidelines.
What our business or
The
Ben?
business type, you said?
If you add the business,
There, we usually have, when you look at the category list for priorities and desired businesses that we're looking for, it says restaurants, furniture stores, art galleries, and bookstores. Nowadays, you know, being more specific to attract businesses so they know that that's what we're looking for. The Hallandale Beach CRA, that's what they did, and they're able to bring those specialty shops, those retail shops to the corridor. So since we're looking at, we have a film incentive program, we're looking at a Music City, and we're looking at the kitchen, the boot camp. We want to make sure it's in there as a priority for when people come, they know that's what we're really looking for to invest in. Okay, and unless you have any additional questions, this is what we're proposing and requesting for your approval.
any questions on the dais? No? Open to the public? Anyone who speak on? Public hearing is open on item 1. The one comes.
Make a motion to approve the item.
So move.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin. Motion was second by Board Member Dezume. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote. Agenda item 2,
Yes.
a resolution to approve a resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving the recommendation of award of request for qualifications RFQ number 61-17-18 architectural engineering AE services for a new community center and ancillary improvements. I'm not gonna be able to, authorizing the executive director and North Miami CRA attorney to negotiate and to finalize an agreement with, I'm gonna butcher this, but forgive me, Sino Lowski Romani Sayi, LLC, as the highest ranked firm and providing for an effective
How do
date.
you get to the,
That was agenda item 2, fellas.
yeah, and I'm trying to get it. These new things.
You have a special
need to have-
presentation?
Yes, I do.
I'm trying to get this. Yeah. Oh, now it decided, wanted you to walk, wanted you to get the walk.
All right, good evening, board members. Happy New Year to you all. Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director, City of North Miami. The item that you have before you under item number 2 is staff's recommendation for the board's approval of the evaluation committee selection of the firm Sinalowski Romanek Say LLC in response to request for qualifications number 611718 issued by my office on behalf of the North Miami CRA for the purpose of soliciting proposals from qualified and experienced architectural firms to design and build a new community center and ancillary improvements intended to replace the existing Griffin Community Center. As you may know, the existing center, which is located at 12220 Griffin Boulevard, directly across from the city's Griffin Park, was originally built in 1946 and currently consists of approximately 4,200 square foot facility, and it's very limited in space and inadequate to provide the level of services which are needed for the community which we serve. As a result, the staff is looking to engage the services of an architectural firm which can assist the city in the planning, design, and construction of a new center. In response to our solicitation, the city received 20 proposals, and shortly thereafter, the evaluation committee was convened for the purposes of reviewing the qualifications of these applicants. The selection and evaluation process proceeded on a 2-tier level. Following their initial evaluation of Tier 1, the committee shortlisted the top 5 ranked firms, and they are listed there on the report that was submitted in support of this item. And they were invited, those 5 firms were invited to make a presentation before the committee. As a result of the interviews by these firms, the committee has ranked as the highest ranked firm and is recommending for this award Sinalowski Romanek Say LLC. The item before you requests approval of the evaluation committee selection, and it also is seeking the authority to proceed with negotiations for the initial phase of the project. And the initial phase consists of a planning and programming phase, during which the firm will be charged with the responsibility to gather information, to conduct community meetings and workshops, to engage all of the stakeholders, and to develop a program and a full project scope definition, which will guide in the design and construction of this new community center. This concludes my presentation of this item, and if you have any questions, also here tonight is a representative from the firm, Ms. Meryl Romanek, and she is one of the named partners in the firm. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Questions on the dais? Yeah.
Do we open it to public?
No, we can.
forum in the-
No, we
oh,
can do
okay.
that. We always can. It's-
So I went and looked at the pictures, and so what,
Can't find the pictures.
I'm very in favor of going forward with the community center. I think it's really needed. I'm excited about it, that we're getting started. What kind of workshops, how are we gonna give input? As I understand, Ms. Romanek's firm will be drawing the plans, but who is going to give direction as to what we want? I'm sorry, but I think a lot of these buildings, they might be architecturally correct, but they're kind of bland. To me, they're a little bland. And the inside, I don't really love the furnishing. I like some of the others better, but I just want to know what kind of input we're going to have, even location of the building, 1-story, 2-story. We have different ideas, placement of the building. So now that we have the firm, when do we get to have our input as to what it's going to be before we draw the plans?
Um,
Can I address it?
or you want
Through the
to
chair? Yeah.
No, let me say something. First of all, we all understand that we are talking about Griffin Center, and it's to build a new community center at Griffin. And I think the architect gonna meet with first of all with the administration, and after that they're gonna meet with me representing the district, and then having workshop with the residents, with the homeowners of the district first. And after all, we're gonna have a workshop with people from the entire city, because whether it's in District 3 or 4 or 1 or 2, that's a community center for the city of North Miami. That's when we're gonna have all those workshops, and after those input, that's when I think the architect gonna sit down and draw a draft plan, and then we're gonna talk, and then when the final plan to the council for approval.
I don't
that's
want
why I
to take
think, yeah.
anything away from District 3 and you,
Absolutely.
but, like, my district really does not have a community center. Our center is virtually worthless. We don't have one. When we have something, we go to the Griffin Center. It's central. All the taxpayers are gonna be paying a lot of money for the center, so I think we should all be getting equal voice on this. I know it's in your district.
Oh, no,
It
it's.
touches my district. It's adjacent to my district.
Yeah, but let me tell you.
It's not about District 3.
Let me
it's
tell
about
you,
our city.
Councilwoman Keys, I don't have any intent for District 3 to dictate exactly the way the community center should look like. And we want the community center, and any suggestion from anybody, because like I said, it's the community center gonna be for the city of North Miami, whether it's in 1, 2, 3, or 4, it belong to the city. And the only thing we kind of set and we were talking about, it's to put the green space where you have the concrete and put the center in the middle of the park. That's the only thing we are discussing right now. But
Not on the waterfront.
the green space is gonna be the waterfront, the green space waterfront.
So some people have totally different ideas like me. But
I understand,
tonight-
but
tonight's not
at
the
a
night to
workshop,
do
that's
it.
when we're gonna,
Tonight's not the
everybody,
night to-
at
Can
the
I-
workshop, that's when everybody gonna have to say.
You,
And-
I have a
and-
question before you even say anything. But go ahead.
No, you can have a question.
Go ahead,
because-
go ahead, Mr. Manager.
No, you don't have to say anything.
You have.
Oh, well,
Go
I
ahead.
do. I was
He
gonna
was
say,
gonna say.
what's built into, and you said it, what's built into this scope of work is the architecture firm is going to be workshopping all of these details, stakeholders, utilization, all of these things that have come up in our previous discussions before we even get into the full hard and softscape design. So they'll be getting all of that feedback from us, the community as a whole, the elected officials individually, and all of that's already in the scope of work. So
Okay.
it'll get addressed.
Which was my question, but I have another question. The financing portion of this, is it, yes.
Okay, I'm listening.
Well, where is the money
I'm
coming
listening
from?
to your question.
Where's the
It's in
money
the
coming
budget.
from?
The
the
money for
CRA.
this
Hold on.
contract is already in the budget. It's in the CRA.
Okay, so this particular budget is in the CRA, but, okay,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Very quickly, I apologize for my voice. Have you had any conversations yet with the JCs who own property?
We start, even before, we start engaging in discussion with them on how together we're gonna, Mike McDermott, we talked to Mike, but,
The Knights are the tenant at
Yes,
the
yes,
JC's building.
yeah.
So Heather and Mike Holliday, I'll just say it on the record.
Yeah.
Heather and Mike Holliday are the president and vice president of the JCs.
they're gonna be a part of the discussion.
Right. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
it clear.
No,
whatever
we
happens,
do understand that.
They own
And,
that
we
building.
engage you with Mike McDermott in discussion with him.
And
It's-
I don't want to mention names.
Yeah.
Please make sure you're speaking with the
Yeah.
JCs.
No, we do. No,
I think the
we
Knights.
we on
Right.
we on top of that. We know it's gonna be with them. Yeah.
Thank-
And I think at the end of the day, they're gonna come and
Probably.
be on board with that.
Can I
We
get
don't
a
have any
briefing
issue with that.
on this particular item after today, if possible, Mr. Manager? Okay, perfect.
Now public hearing is, if we don't have any question on the dais, public hearing is open on the item.
Move approval of the item.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve tab agenda item 2. That motion was seconded by Vice Chair Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote. Agenda item 3. A resolution of the Chair and Board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving the piggyback of the agreement between the City of Miami and MIDAT Services, Inc., DBA, block by block, awarded through Request for Proposals, RFP number 14-601, authorizing the Executive Director and NMCRA attorney to negotiate and finalize an agreement with MIDAT Services, Inc., DBA Block by Block, for an initial term of 1 year, with an option to renew for 3 additional 1-year periods at the discretion of the Executive Director or his/her designee for an initial fee not to exceed $423,185 for the first year, with the fees for the renewal terms to be negotiated and agreed upon. Authorizing the chairman and executive director to execute the agreement, authorizing the executive director to take all action necessary to implement the terms of the agreement, and providing for an effective date.
We have a presentation
Yes, sir.
on the item.
I was just going to do the basic introduction before Mr. Destrade spoke. As you recall, part of the CRA plan and the branding and marketing that we had approved, and as you recall, last year we had implemented at least half of the benchmarks. The last part of it is to have a clean and safe street for the community, and that's where we're here for the clean team and the ambassadors. On my research, I was reading an article in the Daily Business Review, and I found this business called Block by Block, and I read up on it, and I found out that they are actually the clean team and the ambassadors for the City of Miami and Coconut Grove, Lincoln Road Mall, Coral Gables, Orlando. CRA just hired them. They are nationwide. If you've been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans, they are the green shirts that clean up after the Mardi Gras. So that is their expertise. One of the things that they do is they hire locally. We will be helping them to hire local staff and residents to provide this service. What they're proposing for us is they will provide staff 7 days a week to clean the streets, to clean. If you look at the proposal, you'll see I walked the quarter-mile radius of the downtown area on the major corridors, 125th Street, West 60th, and Northeast 6th Avenue, with their representative, and he took pictures. They're going to remove the weeds from the sidewalk, the cracks of the sidewalk, the gum, the graffiti, the dust. They will have their own equipment, pickup trucks, pressure cleaners, the carts, the uniforms. They will provide all of that, and they will provide us with a full-time operations manager to address any of our issues. Additionally, if we have events and we need their clean team to be there to clean up afterwards, they won't charge us extra. It's not part of, they don't charge us overtime or anything. They just bring their crew from other cities that they already have to assist to maintain the area to keep it clean. So with these amenities that they're offering, we felt that it was more appropriate for us to work with them and to propose this. And lastly, I wanted to mention that the manager, when he was talking to them, he wanted to make sure that the salary was comparable to what the previous clean team we had during Hurricane Irma. So the starting salary is $13.50 an hour. The following year, they would go to 14, and then the following year, it goes up again. It's a full-time position. They get benefits, health insurance through the company itself.
Yes, and just to follow up on what the CRA director, I think she's pretty much summed it up. But basically, this is staff's recommendation for your award of a contract to MIDAT Services Incorporated. They're doing business as Block by Block. This award is based on a piggyback of a current City of Miami contract, number RFP 14601, which was issued to MIDAT to provide similar services throughout the Coconut Grove Business Improvement District. This contract is simply part of an ongoing effort by the administration, by our city administration, to ensure that our public spaces reflect a city which is attractive and well-kept to its residents, business owners, and visitors alike. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
And they have a representative here, Mr. James Weathers flew in case you have any questions on the experience of the company.
Is there any question on the dais?
Yeah.
So,
I do.
but
So
we
we've
can
got,
do
we've
public
got a
hearing
price of
after.
423,000, and it says for safety and supplemental cleaning program, there are optional services. So when you say safety, are we using any of those optional services, like Goodwill, helping people across the street, homelessness?
It is on the menu, but our first priority was the clean team. You know, we do have the North Miami Police CRA downtown that we
Right.
already are subsidizing, and I think I mentioned that to you. But it is on the menu for us to use and test. Again, this is kind of like a pilot program for us. So the priority is the clean team, then the ambassadors, and then we can focus on the safety if we need to.
So is this, right now, is just for clean?
Clean and, like I said, it's optional. If we want, we can add it, like a safety ambassador if we wanted to, but it won't exceed the contract amount.
But we're paying tonight, what we're approving tonight, just for cleaning, which we need.
Sure, and I just want to
Can you
jump
say
in.
your name and your
Oh,
address,
sorry.
please?
James
And your
Weathers.
title with the company?
Absolutely. James Weathers, Regional Vice President with Block by Block, also recognized as my dad. Yeah, I just wanted to jump on your question. The contract is for clean right now. We have the ability mid-year to adjust those hours or adjust that deployment to, once we hit a full scope of the cleaning, like was discussed earlier, we hit the weeds, we hit the graffiti, we hit all of the sidewalks, and we get that looking where it needs to be, we can then refocus some of those hours and deployment in safety or ambassadors for the public.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And a question, where they're gonna be, in the downtown only?
For this particular one, it is for the quarter-mile radius of the downtown corridor.
When you say quarter miles, which
Where
is
all the,
from,
the pole banners are pretty much like our perimeter. So, where Mimo Mozzarella would be my furthest
123rd?
southwest,
Mhm.
furthest southwest. Northeast Sixth Avenue to, I walked it, so,
10 or
Northeast Sixth Avenue
to 10, 12, to where?
to 100 and, I have to look. But
The
it's where
avenue.
the downtown, Northeast Sixth Avenue,
From
West
6
60.
to where?
North on 6, but from 6 going east to West
12th Avenue.
To 12?
And
Okay.
123rd to
Mhm.
about 134th, like almost by the library.
134?
Almost by the library on West Dixie.
Including Dixie Highway and all those areas?
Yes,
So we're not
But they're
gonna,
not a part of the downtown?
yes, they are. The perimeter
Oh.
that was designated in the downtown master plan is what we used.
Let
And
me
it's
ask you a
also in the
question.
Walker's Guide.
Let me ask you a question. We are spending $500,000 for that. Why don't we add staff from Public Works or Park and Rec to do that? Or from wherever?
Well, remember, in the budget, you did approve, in the city's budget, you approved 2 clean teams that are gonna be deployed, in the next few weeks. Where we'll be hiring, temporary staff, and they'll do the balance, they'll do cleaning in the balance of the city.
But I'm
So-
talking about, why don't we, Public Works, do that job?
I mean,
I don't know.
this
or
was a
Park-
recommendation to try this as a pilot.
Yeah, but it's, when you say a pilot, I do understand. But when you're talking about $500,000 for a pilot, for half miles,
Well,
from 6 to 12,
I get your question and what I would say is this: if we deploy our public works staff and make it part of our normal general government offering, if you will, then we won't be able to use the CRA funding for that as a general rule. We're doing a very targeted deployment like we did with the cops, so it's additional service over our normal our general government offering. So that's one answer. The other is the optics of it. We have the individuals who will be on the street, uniformed, we'll decide what the colors are and all that stuff. And as we move in the development of the program, we get to a point where you have ambassadors. They've been very successful in the other areas, so, given that, our
yeah,
specific
but
downtown
those
areas.
areas, you're talking about
Right.
big business corridor.
Right.
And you're talking about miles. Now you're talking about
We-
half
we-
miles.
Well, how long is Lincoln Road?
Yeah, so we are in Lincoln Road as well as Coral Gables, which is probably very similar to the setup that we have in North Miami for the space and need that you guys have.
But that's,
But I mean, again, this is a recommendation. Ultimately, it lies with the board. If you don't want us to move forward with it, we won't, but this is our recommendation. Again, we bring it forth for a number of reasons. Again, the targeted focus of cleaning specifically cleaning the downtown core. We're trying to do business attraction. We want the sidewalks, the streets.
yeah, but you said, as far as, you said, we won't be able to use CRA money
If
to
we,
pay for that
no,
if we
if-
hire employees from the city?
no, if you make it part of our general government, like if you say, Mr.
Yo.
Manager, this is part of our public works, normal operations, you guys are gonna do X, Y, Z, the CRA can't fund that.
Because we cannot use CRA money to pay for service by employees of the city?
not unless it's specifically
For the area.
for the
Yeah,
area.
I
So it's gonna
understand
be
that.
for the area.
Yeah, I'm talking about specifically for the area. That's
So
when
is it
you
more
hire two,
expensive to use our city so we could use our city employees
Well,
just in the CRA,
Yeah.
like
the-
we do with our
like you do with the
cops?
police department.
Well, again, what they do in the police department is, this is, the police department, assignment is in addition to the normal patrol, that the police department does. It's specific to Seventh Avenue corridor and specific to the downtown
Yeah,
corridor.
but if you hire employees from Public Works Department specifically further downtown, if it's gonna cost us less money,
Well,
Do-
I don't think it's gonna cost us less money because,
but you don't have an analysis that say that.
I mean, if you want us to do an analysis, we can do it, but I can tell you based on a couple things. One, if we hire full-time, which these employees are, we'd have to offer them the pension.
You understand that,
And-
but what about 20 if you offer them part-time jobs?
Part-time, I'd have to look at it.
You'd
Okay.
have to get,
and-
you'd have to get new employees because they're already full-time. So, I mean, it would be nice to see the analysis, but, I mean, you make a point about having insurance, pension,
Yeah, okay.
I know that cost alone
And
will
they're
exceed theirs.
providing all the equipment,
Can I-
all the
Okay.
materials that's
Okay.
part of the cost
You wanna
as
hear
well.
public hearing before you
No, I
talk?
didn't.
No,
wait
I'm
a minute,
asking
say-
you.
No, I wanna,
go ahead,
no,
you
let
can
me,
talk,
because
and- go ahead.
my concern with, I don't have a particular concern, because I think we all, on the fact that we all want to see a nicer and cleaner city. I didn't understand the legislation until it was explained. I thought it was something that was citywide. Secondly, on the other point, I remember after whatever the hurricane was that just passed, we put out a clean team, city clean team. These are mostly, 100% of them were residents. They were working part-time. They were out there on the street picking up trash with their hands. Residents were just thinking how of a wonderful job that they were doing, if they could, continue that. And I know we have thing of continuing that. So I don't see the logic. This is what I'm trying to get at. I don't like piggybacks. That's number one. That's just me, just to put it out there. I don't know. I would have felt more comfortable if there was a local firm, because now I'm hearing we'll have to help the firm hire.
No. We're not helping them hire. What we're doing is, the discussion I've had with them is, we want to be able to say, here's a pool of names. So we're trying to retain those same individuals.
They would
that were
not
hired.
be, Mr. Manager, they would not, it will be up to them to hire whoever that they want to hire, because that's their prerogative, which is fine. I guess my concern is, where's the firm located, the headquarters, if I may ask? Is it local?
Absolutely. So we are headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky. We have myself, who's the regional vice president. I'm located in Baltimore. I cover the southeast
The
region.
Southeast.
And then we have a director of Florida who is located in Florida.
Okay, sir.
So we have a number of corporate support.
Got it, thank you. Because we are committing almost $1 million, well, 750. Well, isn't it 450 a year,
Half
but up to
million.
3 years, right? So four times,
yeah,
it's about
yeah.
750 somewhere. To try out a half a mile, I would have went with it if it was a citywide thing, and I was, because I told you, even before the agenda, I said, Mr. Manager, I might need some clarification from you, because I read just the thing of it. I didn't go into the details and stuff. It looks very nice, very impressive, but to approve a $750,000 when I don't even think we paid $100,000 to the part-time cleaning crew
Or our
for.
budget was more than that, but remember, it was paid for by the federal government.
No, our budget, no, Mr. Manager, for the 7 people that was working, or the
was-
8 people?
No, it was more than that.
Okay, no, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. They were working 15 hours a week. They were not getting, they were getting 15, I'm talking about the part-time folks.
Yeah,
They cannot,
The post-Irma,
no, not the post-Irma crew. How many of them were there?
About 30 something?
No, well,
You know the number?
when it boiled down
it
to,
was
it's not 30.
29.
Okay, but when we boiled down after, it wasn't
Oh.
29 that we kept. I think it was 10 people. That's remained on the street. Isn't it
No.
10 or 7?
No, we,
Or,
no,
After
we,
the
that
90
team,
days
Yeah, the
federal
90 days.
government
they
portion, the
extended it a little bit longer than they were supposed to. But that,
so what
that
would
was
be
paid.
the budget of the folks that we have right now, our residents cleaning up?
I don't have it
I
in
don't
front of
think
me.
I don't think it's nowhere near 300,000.
I'll have to
Okay.
get that number for you.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Now we're gonna open it to the public. Anyone wishing to talk on item number 2? Can you please come forward? I see no one come. Do you have a motion? And you have a motion on the item since Go back.
Move approval of the item.
I'll second it.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve item agenda 3. The motion was seconded by Board Member Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
No.
Item fails with a 2-2 vote. Tab, agenda item 4, rehabilitation grant request,
It's
urban.
4-3.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, okay, 4.
Two.
Yes.
Item, agenda item,
Number-
Vice Chair, agenda item 3 fails 2-2.
Yes, okay.
So agenda item 4, rehabilitation grant request, Urban Investors 12200 LLC.
Urban Investors LLC, located at 650 Northeast 125th Street. As you recall, that property was destroyed by a fire December 2017. The fire caused significant damage. They've lost their tenants, Tommy's Shoes. I think you're familiar with Tommy's Shoes, and the Chinese restaurant that was there originally. So the property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Eric Liff, are here. They've applied for a rehabilitation grant. What they're proposing to do is to have 5 bays to allow for leasing. The total cost of the project is $629,530. They're requesting $160,000 from the CRA, $100,000 as part of the rehab grant, an additional $60,000 because they would like to pay for the grease trap to cover the whole property. So this will allow them to be able to rent out to restaurants. And they have received several requests from businesses looking to rent. So if they find one restaurant for the whole space or 2 restaurants and so on, having a grease trap already there for the whole property makes it easier to lock in tenants and also for DERM and permittings to get these businesses open quicker. Like I said, Mr. and Mrs. Liff are here in case you have any questions. Staff recommends approval. This property has been dormant and boarded up since December 2017, and we feel it would be a great addition to the downtown.
No, we don't have. Do we have any questions or comment on the dais?
No,
Yeah,
I just have one after
Go
Karen.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just glad you guys are doing this because I saw the board up, and I think someone from your company had reached out, but in reference to something else. So I'm just glad this is happening.
Okay, do you already have your facade and plans for the building, the outside?
Yes, actually, all the designs are actually included in the package.
Were they in?
Page 19.
So, and just by a quick explanation, it's actually going to be floor-to-ceiling window all the way throughout.
Oh,
And it's going to have a completely modern look. It's going to, it's complete rehabilitation.
Are you gonna-
All
you-
with the exterior lighting and then obviously upgraded
Oh, I see.
signage and so forth.
Are you gonna limit it to restaurants?
No, no, we can't. I mean, we'd like to, like to have a mix of tenants. Ultimately, we'd like to have at least a restaurant in there. I think it's critical to the area, first of all. I think in terms of the revitalization of the area. I think a restaurant it's opportune for, creating, that nighttime traffic. And so, as you know, the cost of, putting in a new restaurant for all intents and purposes is quite extensive. And so, we're looking forward to that challenge, although it is a challenge, but we're gonna, that's the optimal goal, is to put a restaurant in there.
Would like something retail, something that people wanna come downtown for, not something that is just boring.
Absolutely.
Rasha, do we have any, frowned upon businesses? I mean, we do have ordinances not allowing any more beauty shops, barber shops, tax account, notary type things. But do we have any, nothing that's just,
No, that's really guided by your zoning, like what is an allowed use,
right?
and we follow that. But I mean, that's the whole point of prioritizing the business category list in the grant. So when they're attracting their tenants, they're able to, to drill down on what it is that we're looking for. And that's one of the reasons why we're agreeing with them that they need to have the grease trap to cover the whole property, because they've gotten a lot of requests, but that'll definitely help attract one of those quality businesses that we're looking for. That's gonna start activating the downtown.
Yeah. because we like to have
No.
something that will stay open, something that's open in the, like restaurants, something will be open in the morning, something that'll be open on Sunday, something that'll be open in the evening, and not just close and create a void in our cities, because we're really,
Absolutely. I mean,
trying to-
that's the goal. I mean, we
Okay.
can't control their business hours, but obviously we want to encourage a tenant that's going to go ahead and provide those services and those hours and that kind of activity. So that's our goal. I mean, it's beneficial to our other tenants as well, so.
okay, thank you.
Councilman Scott, you have
No questions. I'd like to,
Alex?
No question.
And I'm glad that you're gonna keep the restaurant, but what do they have to put the greasy strap in the whole property? You said,
So the county, the way it is, the grease trap is obviously, it's not like in the property, it's under. So it's for the capacity. So being able to acquire the proper capacity for the whole square footage, it's, how big is it? It's like 4,000?
The total building is 4,000.
It's 4,000 square feet. So if a restaurant comes in and takes up the whole 4,000, or two restaurants take up 2,000, they don't have to individually deal with the county with DERM impact fees and a different grease trap.
yeah, but
So one
yeah, but
will
if
cover
it's
it.
4,000, if you're talking about 4,000 square feet, you're talking about a big restaurant. What about if we divide it in?
Yeah, if he
Even though you
decides to-
spend that money, you still can divide it in
Yeah, if
two.
he decides
Okay.
to do
Because
5
yeah.
little restaurants or bakeries, that one grease trap will service
Oh,
all of them. That's
okay,
the point.
okay, I understand.
That's
Okay.
the point.
We're
It
not
allows
proposing
for that
one-
flexibility.
Okay, that's when the plan is not to cover the whole 4,000 square feet with
It'll allow for the
restaurants.
flexibility for either 5
Okay,
to 1.
Okay, okay.
And they don't have to deal with DERM, have additional costs for
see,
the
I
impact,
see,
for
I
the
see.
grease trap.
Okay.
You gonna have
No.
a Chinese restaurant,
What's that?
your Chinese restaurant coming back?
Is that Chinese
No, we will
restaurants? Not-
prefer a seating, whatever they wanna,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
people
we're-
wanna.
we're-
but
we're-
we'll prefer a
soliciting-
seating
we're
restaurant.
soliciting proposals now, and hopefully we can negotiate and move
Yeah,
forward with
yeah.
them. I mean, obviously, you have to have the credibility in the business operations and the history and the financials, but our goal is to encourage a restaurant in that space, and that's what we want to do, at least one restaurant. And
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the item.
And before okay, we have a motion on I second the motion, but I have to open it to the public. Public hearing is open on the item. We can do that. No, not backward. Robert would also, no.
Okay, nobody's here.
We don't have to do it. We can do it the
Call the
other way
question.
around
Nobody's here. Okay.
by Robert's rule of law. Yes. Open to the public. No one come. Michael?
Vice Chair, we have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve Agenda Item 4. That motion was seconded by Vice Chair Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote.
Thank you.
Agenda Item 5, Business Attraction Grant Request, the CAV LLC.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Rasha, if we can speed up this agenda a little bit.
Yes.
We're supposed to be ready for council in 25 minutes.
Okay. The Cave LLC, located at 13641 Northwest 7th Avenue, is requesting a business attraction grant. It's the property that is east on Northwest 7th Avenue and 136th Street. It's a yellow strip. It's currently has a Subway and Le Cap restaurant. Mr. Derek Michel is the owner and manager. He's leasing 5,700 square feet of that strip where there was an old grocery store. He's made an arrangement with the property owner who lives out of state. She is currently rehabbing that property at her own cost. This grant, this proposal in front of you is to open up a bar and cocktail lounge, seating for about 218. They have acquired a 4COP SRX full liquor license. It'll be a sports bar. It'll allow for live music and entertainment. They're asking for $178,000 in rehabilitation grant, and like I said, the total amount is $684,590. It's diagonally across from Randy's Restaurant. Yeah, that way.
We know where it is.
Okay,
Don't
I'm just
worry.
making sure because a lot of people didn't know.
We know.
Okay, staff is
Staff know.
recommending approval.
Okay.
Move approval of the item.
Second. And open it to the public.
All right, so I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin, Board Member Galvin, to approve Agenda Item 5. That motion was seconded by Vice Chair Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote.
Okay, since City Clerk, since it's 6:35 and we have to get ready for council meeting, can we postpone the other item number 6?
I have a motion made by Vice Chair Bieneme to postpone agenda item 6. Do I have a second to that
Are you
motion?
with, what do you,
I'm gonna make a motion
Okay.
to approve.
okay. Okay,
Let's just go with 6.
Six.
okay. Second. Public hearing is open. Yeah, it's open, that's fine.
Yeah, we've already discussed it, it's just coming back.
Okay,
I
so
think
I have
a
a
question. Just one question.
You
Are they
haven't
gonna
read it
fix?
yet, let him read it.
I know.
yet.
Hurry up. Mike,
Item
we're-
number
agenda
6.
item 6, a resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving the recommendation of award of invitation for bid, IFB number 51-17-18, renovation of Liberty Gardens Park to Creepco Contracting LLC, Seatco Contracting LLC, authorizing the CRA Executive Director and CRA Attorney to negotiate and finalize an agreement with Seatco Contracting LLC at the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for a contract amount not to exceed $297,559, authorizing the chairman and CRA Executive Director to execute the agreement, authorizing the CRA Executive Director to take all action necessary to implement the terms of the agreement and providing an effective date. And for the
Motion to
record,
And pub-
approve.
Second.
Okay, now let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on item number 6.
Yes, Mike Meet Dearmaid, 840 Northeast 127th Street. This particular item is an item that's been on the DAPAC agenda for some time now and is very important in moving, the committee feels, the downtown, what's happening in the downtown. There's many interconnectors that are going to hopefully enhance our downtown, our alleyways, et cetera. And the committee for some time now has been championing this project to get this accomplished. So we appreciate a vote tonight on that because it's been sort of like hanging for some time now. So, and it's very important to the committee in moving forward with the downtown.
Thank you very much. Open hearing is open. Open public is open on the item. See no one come. I think we're gonna let it go tonight, but I think it should be a part of rehabilitate the whole area, like the alleyway. You're gonna do that, but in the back, and
We're working
I
on
think
that.
a project like that should be a part inside the whole cinema plan, the whole thing to redo the 126, the corridor and whole cinema, and
So
for
we-
300,000 just to do that, I'm not too happy with it, but we're gonna let it fly tonight. But it should be a part of the alleyway, because when you pass there, what you're gonna see, water all the way in the back.
On the other side.
A
So-
dilapidated street.
So thank you for the direction formally, but we had started working on a plan, to address the alleyway, the parking lot and all that stuff. So we'll be coming back to the board with some ideas and
But we need a
feedback.
global plan
Yeah,
for the
for the
area,
entire-
because
for
it's
the
not
entire area.
just one small project here, one small there. We need to, and the rehabilitation of 126, the alleyway, the parking lot and everything. Okay, thank you. We already have a motion.
we do, Vice Chair. We had a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve agenda item 6, and that motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote.
Okay. 5, do we have any reports? No
No,
reports?
no report, sir.
Move
Can
to
I hear
adjourn.
motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.